When I bet, I like getting something back, even if I lose. That's why I bet with Fanatics Sportsbook. When I bet with them, I earn fan cash, win or lose, and I can flip fan cash into bonus bets or use it for new Knicks apparel at Fanatics.com. Download the Fanatics Sportsbook app and let the fan cash flow. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut residents call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts residents call 800-327-5050. New York residents call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland residents visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy, Jonathan MACRI, with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. I got to tell you, it's been a while since I've gotten big-timed on my own podcast here. And sure enough, the one to do it comes moseying along. Had a long day. I'm not going to say how long he kept us waiting because I'm not uncouth like that. I'm very couth. And his excuse, I had to turn in my media fakakta ballot for awards and all. Fakakta got him for all NBA teams and most improved and whatever other nonsense they give out. It's okay. I'm going to look past it. I'm going to say hello, Fred Katz of The Athletic and of Katz and Shoot fame. And apparently back on the Knicks beat because he just can't get away. How you doing, Fred?
I am doing better than everybody who I've podcasted with today. I have recorded 2 podcasts today and have forced both of the people I'm podcasting with to wait because I was late. So don't podcast with me, I guess. You didn't force. I see. I didn't reveal this, but I was running late from gymnastics, and I had to grill a piece of chicken for my daughter before I stepped on here. How's your tumbling doing, by the way?
Oh, it's great.
Where are you in your somersaults?
Which is a somersault again?
Somersault's like a forward roll.
Oh, I can do that probably. I can't do a cartwheel though. Can you do a cartwheel?
No, I can't do a cartwheel. I don't think I could ever do a cartwheel. Not like a real good hold it cartwheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never good on gymnastics. I was never the nimble type.
What NBA player that you have covered do you think would be the best gymnast?
That I've covered or that's like in the league now?
Either one. I don't care.
I mean, the best 2 gymnasts would be the Thompson twins.
Oh, well, that's an easy one.
The Thompson twins would probably be... The Thompson twins would probably reach the top level of any athletic level they wanted. Like anything they decided to do that was athletic, the Thompson twins would probably become the best in the world at.
Well, unfortunately, one of them plays for the Detroit Pistons.
I genuinely think both of them are going to win Defensive Player of the Year, like at different points in their career. Yeah, I really think they will both win Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, I should probably
may or may not have already think that one of them is the Defensive Player of the Year.
Ooh, well, we already said ahead of time we're not spoiling your ballot. I will just say that with a boast like that, I should probably get Asar Thompson's name right and not call him Amir Thompson like I did on my podcast with Jeremy a couple nights ago. Wherever you are out there, Amir Thompson, I hope you're doing well. Whoever you are. So we're gonna do our 3rd annual Dean Wade draft, which for anybody who does not know is named in celebration
He's not dead.
Celebration of.
He hasn't even changed teams.
He has not even changed teams. One of the longest tenured Cavs. In celebration of Fred Katz picking Dean Wade ahead of RJ Barrett to be one of the most important players in the Cavs versus Knicks series a couple of years ago, which is what this exercise is centered around. We are going to pick the players. We are going to draft the players that we think will be the most important, the most impactful players in this series. Do I need to say anything else? We're going to do 9 rounds, so we're going to pick 18 players. Do I need to say anything else before we get to the draft and before I ask you one pre-draft question?
I don't know. It's your podcast, so you tell me.
Kind of you. No, Clearly, I have.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
I know.
I'm
I know
ready to
you're
go.
ready to go.
I got my board in front of me. I'm ready to go. The Dean Wade picks are long behind me.
I'd love to
Simone
know.
Fontecchio, number 3. I'm ready to go.
Does Simone Fontecchio get drafted? I think is actually an interesting question. We're going 18 rounds. I think that's up in the air. Before we get there, and I know we're crunched for time because you have no respect for anything. Can I ask you?
For time. Not really crunched for time.
Well, we want to be done before the tip off. We're recording this, I should say, at 6:30 on Tuesday before the play-in games. No, I want to. Can I ask you one question?
No, that would defeat the purpose of a podcast. No question asking. Wouldn't it be great if we did a podcast where the host asked the guest 0 questions?
I'm pretty sure
that would be like an episode. That would be like an episode of Katz and Shoot. One time I did an episode of Katz and Shoot, and Andrew called me after all sheepishly because he's so nice, and he was like, I told him, I was like, if you've got feedback for me, like tell me, like you're listening to every episode, you're awesome at your job, like please tell me, like I want to be better. And Andrew's just like so nice. He's like, yeah, I do have one thing that I kind of want to tell you, and I don't it's not that big of a deal. And then he was like, you talk too fucking much, shut the fuck up. And it was like, I was like, really, I'm talking too much? And it was like, Fred, I think you went 35 minutes today without asking your guest a question. And I was like, oh no, that's terrible, that's insufferable.
It's honestly one of my biggest notes usually is like, turn your sentences, your points into questions. John actually does a really good job of, when he's interviewing someone, turning it into a question. It's one of the things you're very good at, John. There are other things you're not good at, and I've stopped giving you notes a while ago, but that's one you're very good at.
It's a good skill for a journalist to be unable to ask questions at all.
Conversationalist, that's really good. And Fred, you do a good job of it too. You and James have a good back and forth now. So
listen, the only note.
Look, I'm laughing because it was a good note, not because Andrew was wrong. I'm glad Andrew told me. It was just so funny that Andrew was like, I just don't want to. And
it's the first note I ever gave you.
He's like, you're so, you talk so fucking much. I can't stand the sound of your voice. Shut the fuck up.
I want it noted for the record that I affirmatively went to Andrew earlier this year and I asked him, what can I be doing differently? What can we be doing better? And he's like, well, the numbers on the post games or whatever after losses are not as good. I'm like, great. What? Tell me what. He's like, yeah, you should probably talk about firing Tibbs a little bit more on those. Done. Note taken. Let's giddy up.
I told you, if you want to know what will make the numbers go up is the open door policy.
I take direction.
Being critical of the head coach that's had a not so great year. So.
You know what, John?
Yeah.
You are such a whore. It is unbelievable.
Sex worker, 2025.
No.
You sex worker need to be a whore to be a sex worker. Yeah.
Sex worker is the respectful term. You're not a sex worker. That is the respectful term. You're a whore. You are whoring out your principles. You're whoring out your principles just to get some listeners. I'm just trying to get better here. I'm just trying to shut the hell up.
All I will say is the Sunday after they lost to Boston for the 3rd time, and John opened with, it's time to start talking about the head coach. Maybe our best numbers-wise episode. I morphed into action. I know, and I morphed into action from my side. It's like, oh my gosh, it's happening. It's happening. I split that thing into 2 parts on the audio feed. I made sure we had clips going around all the TikToks and the Gram Reels and all of the snackable content. And
listen,
the rest is history.
I take direction. Fred, he still doesn't shut the fuck up. So
yes.
On that note, I'm going to ask you to talk more because I have a question for you. I know you have not literally been covering the NBA since birth, even though it feels that way sometimes. So this is perhaps an unfair question. I was thinking about it the other day, and I think this is the most important playoffs. And I'll even go a step further and say the most important playoff series for this franchise in at least 30 years. And I say that knowing that obviously this team has been to conference finals since then. They have been to an NBA finals since then. But if we are talking about importance in the sense of consequences when you do the thing well and consequences when you do the thing not well, and the disparity between those two, I think it's a cogent argument. What say you?
I don't think you're wrong. Like, let's put it this way. They could win this series and there could be massive changes this summer. There could be if they win this series. If they lose this series, there will be significant changes this summer to this team. Like significant, real changes. Like it's not going to be, oh, they're going to go get another backup point guard to play next to Deuce. There will be real changes if they don't win this series. And based on just purely the talent, like they should win this series. Based on purely the experience, they should win this series. Based on the matchups on the bench, JB Bickerstaff's done a great job this year, but Tibbs has outcoached them in playoff series before. Like they should win this series. And I can tell you, if they don't win this series, you're going to see major changes, probably plural, real changes to this team.
So we'll leave it at that for now. I wanted to lead into the draft with that because we have not discussed our picks, but I think we talk all the fucking time, so we know each other pretty well. I think we know how this draft is basically going to go, more or less, at least at the top of the draft. And you kind of just said it right there. And the fact that I could sit here going into this series and look at this thing and like I hear all the stuff. Obviously, I'm sure the Knicks hear all the stuff about upset potential and this and that. And having watched this team for the whole year, and you having watched this team for the whole year, we could sit here logically and be like, this shouldn't be a series. I should. That's maybe a little bit harsh, but we should know very definitively which way this is going to go. And yet, I don't know about you, and maybe this. Let me ask you this, and then we'll get to the draft. I cannot sit here in my gut and be like, oh, this is definitely going to be Knicks in 5. Knicks. It's like, I'm not going to have to sweat this one out. Do you feel in your gut, and I know you have a better gut feeling about this team than anyone, even though you may be coy sometimes. Do you in your gut have like no doubt the Knicks are going to win this thing, or do you have some significant questions?
I mean, I'm picking the Knicks to win the series. They should win the series. The talent discrepancy is great. We're doing most important players in the draft today, so I ordered it a little differently than I would if I were doing best players in the series. But like if we were doing best players in the series, a reasonable non-homer, like wouldn't take a Knicks fan homer to say the 5 of the 6 best players from this series were Knicks, or 5 of the 7 best players in this series are on the Knicks, or 4 of the 5 best players in this series are on the Knicks. And the Knicks had the best player in the series on top of it. So it's not like there's just like one guy like Giannis who can destroy and the Knicks have everybody else. There's a real talent discrepancy between these two teams. That being said, one of these teams has a very distinct, very tough-minded identity. And the other one is a little wishy-washy and is not playing its best ball of the season. I do wonder how much of Detroit's defensive numbers are noisy. They've done really well against bad teams this year. They are not as good of a defense if you factor against like top 10 offenses.
Do you know what the Knicks?
Say the Knicks?
Sorry. Do you know what the Knicks are shooting effective field goal percentage against Detroit this year?
I don't know.
I looked up last night. 58.3 or something. It's a very good number.
That's crazy. Honestly, the regular season games mean nothing to me. I said this stat on my podcast earlier today. Like the most common pick and roll combination the Knicks had in their 4 games against Detroit during the regular season was Brunson, Precious, Achua. The second most common pick and roll combination was Brunson, Towns. That makes sense. The third most common was Brunson, Huck, Porty. Like
who played 21 minutes in the 4 games.
Right, like
Yeah.
it's not gonna be. It's not. It's just not gonna be like that. This was not a proper representation of what this playoff series is going to be like, where the Knicks are healthy right now. The Knicks have all their guys. Towns missed a game there. They tanked the last game against them weirdly, but then came back with a real roster the next game. Like they are just, those games just don't mean much to me. And in terms of like certain schematic stuff, I think there's things you can take away, and I'm sure we'll get to it. But those games don't mean a ton. I do not worry, but I do leave room for this team getting punched in the mouth and then being like, oh crap, I'm bleeding. Whereas I did not leave room for that on last year's team.
Mm.
I also leave room for that for the Pistons too. Because for what it's worth, I know the Pistons have this really tough, rugged identity, and they play hard as hell. This is like most of them. This is their first time in the playoffs. You don't know how they're going to react. Like, you don't know how they're going to play. You don't know if they're going to go the other way. You don't know if Isaiah Stewart's going to be like, oh, the playoffs are even more tough and rugged, so now I'm going to invent the flagrant 3 and just be like, you don't even know if that's going to happen. In which case, like, Isaiah Stewart's not playing for 2 games, so like, you just don't know how that's going to go.
Are they going to hide the metal chairs a lot, like that they have in like the hallways for like the security guards to sit in? They should probably. Or are there any ladders in the arena that they could go put in a utility closet?
Yeah, I mean, like you just don't know how they're going to react, and I leave room for it for the Knicks, but like, I understand if they lose this series, that's really, really bad. They should not lose this series.
If they lose the series, and we'll get to the draft right now, part of it will be Detroit goes and wins it, but I find it hard to imagine a scenario where a bigger part of the loss is not the Knicks somehow affirmatively losing the series. And in the sense that like Cleveland Knicks was like maybe 60% the Knicks won it, 40% the Cavs lost it. I don't know if you feel that that's unfair or whatever, but like, I think this would need to be much more like like at least 50-50 the Knicks lost it, maybe like 60-40, 65-35 the Knicks lost it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. Who, Andrew, who picks first? Andrew's gone to make a sandwich. So we're gonna do it this way. What is your favorite color?
Oh no, you don't.
I just thought of a funny thing that I could do.
We have a tried and true process that we have to respect here at Knicks Film School. Okay, what were you going to say? What was your favorite color?
Yeah, what is your favorite color?
Let's go blue.
And I was going to say that's the correct answer. You get the first pick because I want the first pick.
Okay. Fred, we're going to do a game of high card draw. We want to do age or beauty goes first. Fred,
I don't understand what I'm supposed to do.
Okay, so does the older one go first, or does the prettier one go?
No, I know the
first in high card draw. I'm saying like the first card will be for who?
The first card is
okay. So we do high card draw, and I'm going to pick a card.
They let you
this
vote
deck of cards
for like awards that could.
I voted
like salaries.
Forget the NBA. They let you vote.
In their defense, I got to MVP and I voted for Jill Stein. So
we got an Evan McMullen voter on the pod. Got it.
Good job by you.
So things are getting uncomfortable. I'll be honest. I'm intentionally tanking the game. I know exactly what you're saying. Let's say beauty.
Okay. So Fred, your card first is a 8 of hearts.
Okay.
John, your card is a 3 of spades. Okay, Fred, you get to go first.
Good. Because hearts goes before spades. Got it. I understand that.
That's exactly it.
Right.
Hey guys, quick word to tell you about our friends from MANDO. What is Mando? Well, I'll tell you. It is a whole body deodorant that is safe to use anywhere on your body. Yes, there is a part of your personage that may smell. Mando is to the rescue. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO, we all know about BO, was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. So here's the deal. Mando, does it have a normal deodorant stick that you've been using your whole life on your underarms? Absolutely, it does. And it's great. But that's not all that they have, because your BO and your odor does not just come from under your armpits. It comes from all over the place. So if you want a little spray for yourself, Mando has that. If you want a little invisible cream, Mando's Pro Sport, it has that. If you want some body wash for your different odor issues, Mando has that. And best of all, they have these invisible wipes. These are my favorite ones. You pop them open, you grab a wipe. If you know you've been sweating from a particular place, wipe it off a little bit, and you're good to go. Mando truly has figured out something that it has taken way, way, way too long to figure out for us men. We are busy, we are sweaty, we are smelly, and we must control that odor. Mando's starter pack, it really is perfect for new customers. It comes with all the things that I just showed you, plus free shipping. And as a special offer for Knicks Film School listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to 40% off your starter pack. Just use code KFS at shopmando.com. Again, it's 40% off a starter pack by using code KFS at shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
So I pick first. Are we snaking?
No, we go back and forth. I've had this conversation with Adrian many times. I have often argued for
no,
snake.
I'm anti-snake in a two-man. Anti-snake in a two-man.
Yeah, no, so is he. So I'm outvoted. It's fine.
Yeah, you can't snake in a two-man, especially in a podcast. Because you know what happens? Then it turns into an episode of my podcast, and I just talk and talk. All right, first pick. This is not the best player in the series. I do not think he is the best player in the series. However, I do think he's the most important player in the series. I'm going to take Cade Cunningham, number one.
I don't think that's even controversial, but speak your piece.
He's not the best player in the series. Jalen Brunson's the best player in the series. However, if Detroit has a chance to win this series, there is no scenario in which Detroit wins this series. Mm-hmm. And we look at Cade Cunningham's numbers and we're like, damn, I guess Dennis Schroeder won him the series. There is just no scenario. Like, if Detroit wins this series, it's ultimately because Cade goes freaking off. And that doesn't mean necessarily Cade goes off as a scorer. It'll mean that in part. But Detroit's offense is run of the mill for the most part in terms of efficiency.
14th they finished in the league this
year. Yeah. And Cade creates everything. They are basically just trying to draw two on Cade the whole time. And they're trying to swing and get stuff in the corner. And they are really good at creating threes that way. Cade has become a wonderful facilitator. He's become really good at it, double teams. He also turns it over too much. He's still learning. He's still not a super efficient scorer, and he killed the Knicks this year. No matter who was guarding him, they tried Bridges on him, they tried Anunoby on him, they tried McBride on him, they tried Hart on him. He killed the Knicks this year, and he was awesome. And I will say, like, I put him on All NBA. I thought he had a phenomenal season. But there are two ways that Cade can go sometimes. Like, he can get a little frazzled and he can throw the ball away, and the Knicks can get out running. Or he can just take total and complete command of a game. And we don't know how he's going to react to a playoff series. And everybody talks about the pressure of a playoff series. Oh, can you handle the pressure of the bright lights of a playoff series? But that's not it. It's also the strategic adjustments. It's going to be the cadence of an NBA game is extremely different than the cadence of a playoff series. It's going to be, okay, they've got Bridges on him to start. Okay, Towns is coming up to the level of the screen to start. But, oh no, now it's Anunoby on him. And now they're starting to blitz. Okay, now Cade is reacting by he's going to run pick and roll at Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson's guarding Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, how are you going to defend it? Well, normally in that situation, Jalen Brunson hedges. So now you're putting him in rotation. Okay, get him in rotation. So the Knicks adjusted that. Now Jalen Brunson's going to switch. So they don't have to put him in rotation. Okay, Cade, how are you going to handle that mismatch? Like, there are going to be a million different things. I feel like I just sounded like Tibbs in a press conference, just reeling off a million different things. But
it wouldn't be that specific, but yeah.
That's true. But there are just like a million different little adjustments. And there are some guys who are just naturally unbelievable at it. And it's a very, very, very small few. And there are some guys who never quite figure it out. And there are some guys who just like the first time they do it, they're like, oh crap, I need to live through this. And then I get better. And Cade is good enough that he might be one of the small select few that is just awesome at it right off the bat. And it's possible. He is that good and that talented, and he thinks the game. He's a real thinker. He can score in a bevy of ways. He's an insanely underrated post player. He's an awesome post player. They create a ton of threes that way with Cade out of the post. I just think that he is going to have to go off. He is going to have to hit a different level if Detroit's going to win this series. And if he struggles, I don't think the Pistons can do anything. And if he's just kind of normal Cade and has a good game here, a bad game there, I think the Pistons are going to stand a really, really small chance to win. If he goes off and he's just the best player in the series, which he's not the best player overall, but like he's capable of being that for 4 to 7 games, then that's how the Pistons give themselves a chance.
A couple things. One, I think the last thing you said is the thing I'm going to latch onto first, which is if he goes off and has the sort of series you're talking about, it gives the Pistons a chance. And I think there is a world where Cade has that sort of series that you're talking about, and the Knicks still win and maybe even win in like 5 or 6 games. Number two, to speak to Cade this year against the Knicks, 36 for 62 from 2-point range. That's 58%. And going back and watching all of his shot attempts in this matchup this year, I think he actually left a few out there. But that speaks to one of the few remaining pockmarks on his game, which is he has not been great at the rim. And he had a couple opportunities at the rim that the Knicks got him on. Mikal Bridges had some rear contests, forced a couple of bad shots, in the mid range where he could have worked it a little bit more. 7 for 15 on pull-up threes in this series this year. And one of those was a heave. So it's really 50% on pull-ups. I am most conflicted by essentially, I guess the Jokic question, which is if you're the Knicks, how much do you, and as Spo, got very angry at a press conference after a finals game a few years ago, it doesn't work like this, but I'm still going to like kind of phrase it this way. How much would your preference be if you're the Knicks to like let Cade get his versus let him get everybody else going? And I think that is, for me at least, one of the more interesting questions in the series. But I agree with you. I think it's an easy pick, first pick.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the justification. Jalen Brunson can have an underwhelming series and the Knicks can win, like maybe handily. It
happened last year on a worse team. He had 2 terrible games against Philadelphia and they won both of the games. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. Cade can't have an underwhelming series. A lot of pressure on him and he might do it. He's an awesome player.
I'll take Brunson. His numbers against the Pistons this year have been good. His efficiency has actually been higher against them than normally. The on-off stuff is fascinating. Their offense really hasn't changed, whether he's been on the floor or not, which I think speaks to maybe some of the statistics that you cited earlier about they have not maybe played the most serious basketball because of personnel, because of other reasons against this Pistons team this year on offense. His individual numbers have been good. The defense is, if I had time tonight, I might go look up if there's any team in the league where the on-off differential for defensive rating is bigger than the on-off for defense rating as the Pistons. There's a 20 point per 100 possession difference with Brunson on and Brunson off. I'm just fascinated to see, is it just going to be throwing a whole lot of shit against the wall? Are like first possession of the game, or that they bring Brunson into the action, or are they just going to like, here, switch on to Cade, see what Cade does? Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but like, you can tell me anything and I wouldn't be shocked. But I think it's I think it's important, very important how Brunson is defensively in this series. I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, I agree. They're going to run tons of pick and roll at him. They are going to run so much pick and roll at him, especially in crunch time. And it's going to be huge. And I mentioned it earlier. I'm really curious to see how the Knicks handle that. Like, are they going to hedge like they normally do with Brunson in those situations? Or are they going to switch and have Brunson try to guard Cade? Like, it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that. I'm very curious.
I have a question on that, a possible strategy there, but I will save it for when another player comes up. So you pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go Karl-Anthony Towns. It's, chalk so far, kind of. You don't consider Cade chalk. I'm just really curious to see how Detroit defends him. During the regular season, the Pistons don't really cross match very much. And they start with Jalen Duren. And their starters are pretty good. Their starters are like plus 6.5 per 100 possessions. Like they're good. And you bring in Malik Beasley, and he's obviously an infusion of offense. He led the league in 3-point makes. But they tend to put Duren on centers. And they tend to put Cade Cunningham on like tough matchups. Yep. And Cade's solid. Like he's really competitive. And Asar Thompson, they like using in passing lanes and all that because he is just insane in passing lanes. He is an insane deflector and insane help, like legitimately insane. The guy is so ridiculous as a help defender. Like, it is like one of the best in the league. If he were eligible, I don't know how I could have left him off of all defense if he were eligible, which he wasn't. But he is that level already. With Towns, what's going to be super interesting is, let's say they have Duren and they have Isaiah Stewart guarding him. How many threes is he going to take?
That's the question. Yeah.
Because Isaiah Stewart, for example, Isaiah Stewart might be 6'8". He might be an undersized center, but Isaiah Stewart was one of the best defensive centers in the NBA this year. Isaiah Stewart allowed 46% shooting on dunks and layups when he was the closest defender this year. That was not just the best figure of any qualifying player in the NBA this season. It was the best one in 5 years. He's been that good as a rim protector this year. And if you're Cat, you don't just have to make threes. You got to take them if Isaiah Stewart is guarding him. And I could very easily see if Cat's willing to take them, because sometimes he tries to drive. He hesitates. He doesn't want to take 10 threes in a game.
Yeah.
Because that's just not what's natural to him, as great of a shooter as he is. But if he takes them, if Isaiah Stewart is sinking in and he takes them, then he's going to have to come out on him. And if Isaiah Stewart is out on him from the start, that's great, because then you're pulling out their rim protector from the middle. Duren is okay defensively, probably a little below average, but he does some good stuff. He's really physical. He's a good rebounder. He's a big body. Same thing. You're pulling him out of rebounding position if he's there. If you're going to sink into the lane, like, that's going to be so big. And when Duren's in the game, I imagine we're just going to see, if he's guarding Cat, I imagine we're just going to see a ton of Brunson Cat pick and roll. And that's going to be massive for the Knicks, because Duren is not an incredible pick and roll defender. And if you can run stuff away from Asar Thompson, that'd be really helpful.
He had a nice switch onto Brunson. Brunson made a step back three. You could argue there was a decent amount of room, but in the last game the two played, like I thought Duren represented himself well for the most part in that game. He's
gotten much better. As a rookie, he was really, 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 really bad defensively. And he had been really bad defensively, and he started this year even not good defensively. And in the last 3 months or so, He's been a much better team defender. He's been a better communicator. He's been better on the back ends of pick and rolls. He's been better defending in space. He's done a much better job inside of this defense. He's going to be a nice player, I think. I like his game, and I like Stewart's game. I mean, he's just brute, and he's tough, and he's skilled, and he's strong as hell. And you want to get those guys out of the middle for rebounding and for rim protection purposes. And if they're going to guard Cat, that's what you want to do. Now, I wonder if the Pistons get to a point where they're like, okay, well, you know what? We didn't do it in the regular season. Now we are going to cross match, and we're going to put Isaiah Stewart on Josh Hart, and we're going to put Cade Cunningham on somebody else, and we're going to put, Tobias Harris on Cat. In which case, you just want Cat to wreck Harris in the post or drive at Harris, and you want him commanding double teams. And oh my goodness, you want him passing out of his drives. You need him to pass out of his drives sometimes, because here's what's going to happen. The Pistons defensively are going to try to goat the Knicks into taking twos. At least they should.
Yeah.
Because the Pistons will take threes, they will get threes, and they will prioritize threes. And if the Knicks see twos, their eyes light up and they forget the three ball exists, and they take 27 threes, and the opponent takes 43 threes, and the Knicks shoot 52% from the field, and they shoot 41% from three, and they shoot 85% from the line in the game, and they lose by 2 to a team with the worst shooting line. You're like, how did it happen? It's like, well, they took 27 threes, the other team took 43 threes, and that's how it happened. And the Pistons, if I'm playing the Knicks, I'm going to try to goat Cat into drives, because Cat never passes the ball on drives. I was looking at it yesterday on bballindex.com. They have a great stat, which is essentially rates how often just the guy passes the ball back out, not assists, just literally passes the ball back out on his drives. And I just set the qualifiers to allow for the 211 players who have played the most minutes in the NBA this year. Or 213 players who have played the most minutes in the NBA this year. And Cat was 211th in pass out rate.
You didn't answer my text from earlier. Who's below him?
Oh, yeah. Anthony Davis is below him.
That's great.
And somebody else who's not that level of player, who I don't remember. But those are, that's it. And like, Cat has got to look to the perimeter and pass out. He's good passer in standstill situations. I just think he gets single-minded on his drives, and he's like, I'm getting there. And he's a good driver. He gets the line that way, all that. But like, you got to take threes. Like, eventually you're going to lose the math game, whether the Pistons or to the Celtics. Like, you got to find ways to at least try to create them.
And that's something, if I'm a Piston fan, I'm feeling pretty good about, because it's one thing for a team to flip the we're going to take this shit seriously switch, which I think actually the Knicks probably will do. And I'm actually not too worried about them flipping that switch. It's another thing to flip the, like, we're just going to take 40 something threes tonight switch, when they have been one of the two worst or two lowest frequency teams in 3-point shooting for the last, what's it been now, 2-3 months, whatever it is. The Cat drive thing, and I'm going to lean on Benji, because he was the first that I saw point this out. And it's just like, it's so fucking true. When let's say they get into a game where Cat is driving relentlessly and he's making, some of the crazy shots that he makes, and like, because he's just a brilliant offensive player, those games tend to become a little unserious. And even if everybody else is serious, they tend to become unserious from a Karl-Anthony Towns defensive perspective. And it's so funny that you spent that entire time talking about Karl-Anthony Towns' offensive impact on this series. And yet, like, if he is the one guy, and we could talk about all the different schemes in the world that the Knicks are going to play, if Cat doesn't have it defensively, and if he is not approaching the game with a level of seriousness defensively, none of it fucking matters. It just doesn't, because if you're an offense, you can look like the 2016 Warriors against Cat if he is just like in La La Land. And boy, oh boy, has he been in La La Land on some occasions against this Detroit team this year. So we could just leave it at that and hope that he is not in La La Land.
That is very true. A lot of late game moments are going to be Brunson and Cat defending pick and rolls. I'll tell you that.
Oh, the question I want to ask you. Would you think about, because you brought up the turnover rate of the centers, doing, if a situation lent itself to a hard double from Brunson and Cat on Cade, where the center, whether it's Duren or Stewart, it has the 4-on-3 and the short roll. I wonder if that's something we might see a few times, and banking on the Knicks wings creating a turnover or getting a good contest or something, because those guys do tend to turn it over a lot.
You mean just like blitzing Cade?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see them doing it selectively. The problem is that's a really good way to get Cat into foul trouble. It's like a really good way to get Cat into foul trouble.
True.
If you blitz with Cat, like, the chances of him reaching are so high. And if you blitz with Cat, and he just picks up 2 fouls in 3 possessions, you're going to regret it so hard. And I think that's part of the reason why they don't bring him up higher on screens, to keep him out of foul trouble, because Cat, it's always the same foul. It's always the same foul. It's always him defending with his hands instead of his feet.
Yeah.
You're supposed to defend with your feet. Like, I did a story on Dyson Daniels today, and
great story. Great story.
Thank you. And Dyson Daniels has unbelievable hands. And the reason it was a great story was because Dyson was nice enough to sit down with me for a really long time and like have this unbelievably interesting conversation where he totally opened up his mind about defensive philosophy and all that stuff. And like, if you play basketball, if you play in a rec league, or you're in high school or middle school or whatever, and you just want to like learn defensive tips, like, it's worth checking out, because it was like basketball, not even 101. It was like grad school to me. Like, it was he's fascinating and he's incredibly intelligent. And one of the things with Dyson is like, he's got unbelievable hands, and that's why he averages 3 steals a game. However, he defends with his feet. He will not open up his feet, and he squares his feet. And that's why he's able to get his hands in there, because his feet are in position. They beat you to the spot. And when your feet don't beat you to the spot, then you end up defending with your arms and your hands, and you reach. And that ends up happening with Cat all the time. And I would be worried about that. I would be worried also about like those guys are not very good blitz partners, you know?
We haven't seen it really at all.
I know. I just mean ideally. They're just not. Yeah. They're not really the guys to do it. And I could see a world where like not every blitz is executed perfectly. Sometimes you send 2 at the ball and it's like, yeah, the guy is technically going to the ball, but he's just more frolicking to the ball. And he's stuck in a place where he's neither impacting the ball nor in a position to defend the back end. And then you're kind of screwed. Maybe they do it to catch Cade by surprise. That's on a couple of possessions like that. That could be something. I don't know if that's something that works long term.
You mentioned frolicking. Cat frolics around in those situations sometimes. Brunson has had his fair share of frolicking, retreating from the hedge and trying to get back to his proper position. And that just can't fly in the series. Okay, we've been talking for 41 minutes and we have 3 picks. We have to speed this up. I could flip a coin between 2 Knick wings. I'll go OG just because I think he is the more likely of the 2 to win a game defensively, just with what he could do. I don't think he's going to get the initial assignment on Cade Cunningham. I would not give him the initial assignment on Cade Cunningham. I think you start it with Mikal Bridges and go from there. I would love to count on what we saw from him offensively for the better part of a month, just kind of like picking up now, despite the last couple of games where he was not great against some better defensive teams. But I don't even know that he needs to do that. What he does need to do, and this goes back to your point that you made a minute ago, he needs to shoot the 3. And if it's one thing that he started doing a lot of during that stretch is shooting the 3 anytime he had even the slightest opportunity to do so. And Landry Shamet aside, he became New York's most willing 3-point shooter. So I'll go OG with my second pick.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think OG is going to be on Tobias Harris, which is going to allow him to help. I'm going to take Mikal Bridges. And
I mean, who else would you really take here? I mean, maybe you don't want to give it away because you're. You know what? Don't say anything.
I don't want to give it away because
don't give it away. Don't give it away.
We're drafting. I'm like the Thunder. I have a pick, and I have one pick, and I have another pick 2 picks later. I'm not going to tell you who I would take.
Okay, Sam.
I'm going to take Bridges, and the reason why is because this is why you got him. Yeah. And for all the talk of Bridges' season and whatever else, he is going to. I mean, I'm sure you would do the same. I'll bet you every dollar in my bank account, which isn't that many dollars, but I'll bet them all that he is going to start this series on Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
And the Pistons centers set ridiculously physical screens. And Cade's favorite pick and roll partners are Duran and Isaiah Stewart. And those guys will lay you out. And what has Bridges' whole thing been this year? He's been okay guarding it, better than okay. He's been good guarding in isolation. He's been good guarding away from the ball. The weakest part of his game defensively has been screen navigation. It's been seeing a guy standing there is going to lay him out and be like, oh, and backing away. He is going to have to do really well navigating those screens with Cade maneuvering it. And that's a good pick and roll. That's a good pick and roll combination. And if the Knicks can keep Bridges, they're going to shake it up. They will absolutely shake it up. There's no way Bridges is just going to guard Cade the whole series. That's not how you do a playoff series. Cade's a great player. You throw a million different looks at him. They're going to have Bridges on him. At some point, they'll have OG on him. At some point, they'll have Hart on him. At some point, they might have McBride on him. They're gonna shake it up. That's what they do. Every Knicks team has done that under Tibbs in a playoff series. I mean, they guarded Maxey with everybody you'd think they could guard Maxey with in the first round last year. They guarded Donovan Mitchell with everybody you'd think they could guard Donovan Mitchell with 2 years ago. Like this is how they're going to do it. But I think Bridges is going to get the most possessions on him. And if Cunningham is the most important player in the series, then Bridges will have the largest impact on his offensive production. And if he can just stick with him the whole way and disrupt him, that could win the next series.
I look, it's not as simple as like going over versus going under the screen, but I kind of think they should force Cade to prove that he could make enough pull-up threes where you don't have to switch and go over. Because I know he's hit him against the Knicks this year. And he's hit some tough ones against the Knicks this year, like well-contested shots against the Knicks this year. He's not Donovan Mitchell. He's not Jason Tatum. He's not, pick your lead. Like he's 33% on pull-ups this year. That's just what it is. So I wonder if that makes Bridges' job a little bit easier. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The thing is, like, if you go under, sometimes you give them a driving lane because you have to really go under. People think going under is easier than going over. It's not easier. You still have to fight under with the same urgency you have to fight over. So if you're going to go under and you're not going to get to the spot in time, like you have to bolt when you go under. And if you're not going to get to the spot in line in time, then what you're doing is you're giving him a driving lane right into Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yes.
So Bridges, even if that's the case, even if you're going to do it, and it's not a bad thought, Bridges is going to have to kill it going under. He's going to have to kill it going under.
And he can, but again, I'll go back to, I'm looking for, again, areas where New York could have an edge. He has not been good at the rim this year. Relatively speaking, he's 57% at the rim. It's bottom, I think, 30% in the league. And Bridges, again, has gotten him a few times on some nice rear contests, and Bridges has the length to do that. So just something to keep an eye on. Okay. I'll go Beasley. if OG Anunoby could blow up the series on the defensive side of the floor, Mikal Beasley could certainly blow this series up on the offensive side of the floor.
Malik.
What did I say? Mikal?
Yes.
Malik Beasley. Is there a Mikal? Maybe Mikal,
I think you reversed the L and the K.
He's hanging out with Amir Thompson, Mikal Beasley.
Yeah.
No, Malik Beasley, 55% on threes against the Knicks this season. And that was with a poor for him last game that they played last week. He puts so much pressure on a defense in so many ways. If he's the guy that Brunson is going to be hiding on, that is in some ways frightening. And obviously it lost the Knicks a game against the Pistons earlier this season. He too smalled Landry Shamet in that last game. Like, he could put the ball on the floor. Like, this is a guy who averaged 19 points a game in the league, like, not that long ago. He could do some stuff. And defensively, he's going to have a bit of a target on his back, but do you want to get the Knicks into, would that not be the worst outcome, is to get the Knicks into the sort of bully ball matchup hunting sort of thing where it's like, oh, where's Malik Beasley? Bring him into the action. Like, yeah, you're going to do some of that, obviously. But I just think, and if he could actually hold up on defense, well, how nice would that be? So Beasley is my pick. Yeah,
Beasley's been really good for them. Leads the league in threes. You know what Beasley's shooting from the corners this year?
46% or 47, I don't know.
That's crap compared to what Beasley's shooting. Beasley is shooting 53% from the corners this year.
There you go.
That's nuts.
It's crazy.
That is nuts. That is 159 points per 169. What? 159 points per 100 possessions. That is ridiculous. It is the equivalent of a 76.5% free throw shooter going to the line for 2 shots. It is insane what he's doing from the corners. And so much of that is like, you draw 2 to the ball with Cade, team goes into rotation, and then Cade goes the other way. When Beasley comes on the floor, their offense really opens up. It really opens up. It's why he's the 6th man of the year candidate. He just changes their pace. And I actually think he has had a pretty solid defensive season. He was miscast defensively last year. Like, they wanted him, Adrian Griffin wanted him guarding the other team's best player every night. And like, that's not who he is, but he's been solid in a much lesser role. I'm glad that I didn't tell you who I was going to take with my last pick, because he's still here.
Okay.
And I'm going to take him now. I'm going to take Asar Thompson.
That was my next pick.
Who, the same way how Beasley can just like hit 10 threes in a game and win you a game, Asar Thompson can just have 47 steals in a game and win you a game. This season, amongst players who played at least 45 games, I don't know why I set the qualifier at 45, but I set it at 45.
You're a quirky guy.
Here are the leaders in deflections per 36 minutes.
Yeah.
Alex Caruso, 6.3. It's not Dyson Daniels, by the way. Alex Caruso, 6.3, who has been insane for Oklahoma City defensively. Alex Caruso, coming off the bench and guarding bench players, has completely ruined basketball, because he's maybe the best defensive guard in the NBA. And what happens is you have Alex Caruso guarding bench players. And so like Lou Dort's on offs, they staggered Caruso and Lou Dort. So one of them is on the floor at all times. So you get this so you just stagger your best point of attack guys. And they do that because no one else in the league can do that, because no one else has Alex Caruso and Lou Dort. And so like Lou Dort, who is first team all defense, and you can justify throwing on an all defense ballot. The Thunder defense is worse when Lou Dort is on the court than when he's on the bench, because Alex Caruso is just eating up bench guards. Because what are they supposed to do against Alex Caruso? No one can score on Alex Caruso, let alone reserves. So Alex Caruso is just ruining basketball this year. He has not played that much. He was hurt for a little while, but he's been insane. This is totally unrelated.
Hold on. On behalf of our listeners, I want to thank you for the TED Talk.
This is my ADHD shining through. I forgot we were doing a draft. So number one, Alex Caruso, 6.3 deflections per 36 minutes. Number two, Dyson Daniels, 6.2. Number three,
Asar Thompson.
Okay. Asar Thompson is absolutely next level, unbelievable in passing lanes. The same way that we talk about OG Anunoby, the way he can take away one side of the floor, the same goes for Asar Thompson. And him in his first playoff series is going to be absolutely fascinating. And the same goes for his brother, Amen Thompson, who is going to be in a really fun playoff series, potentially with Golden State. Because you can use Asar Thompson in a million different ways. And they could justify putting him on Josh Hart and saying, you know what? You're not a center, but the same way that you could put a center on Josh Hart and let him roam for rim protection, we're going to put you on Josh Hart and we're going to let you roam for pass protection. And he's so athletic. And he's so athletic that he might be able to do it. And if Brunson starts going off against Cade, which he might, even though Cade competes, like Cade's not an all-world defender or anything like that. And Brunson can go off against Drew Holiday. He can do it against Cade. Brunson starts going off against Cade. They'll be like, okay, sorry, you're going to take Brunson. And then Brunson just starts getting off the ball and they start initiating with OG and OG just starts getting downhill and he's just driving. They'll be like, okay, sorry, you're going to get OG. And they could switch him on the cat. Like they could do anything they want with that dude. I am telling you, he is not there right now. That guy is going to win a defensive player of the year. And if he doesn't, it's just because his brother finished 1 and he's finishing 2. That guy is going to be a defensive player of the year. He is unbelievable as a defender. This last few months, the Pistons' defensive turnaround is because of him. He is insane the way that he gets his hands on every single ball, it seems like. And the same way how when Rudy Gobert is on the court or Victor Wembanyama is on the court, people don't want to go to the rim and take layups. People are now thinking twice about making kick-out passes because they're like, oh no, Asar's there. Because he's so long and he's so fast. And it's not just an athleticism thing. I mean, he is a tier 1 athlete, but it's not just the athleticism thing. He is such a competitor and he is smart. And like, oh, I love watching that guy play basketball. Those twins are 2 of my favorite players to watch in the entire league. They are amazing. And Asar Thompson could just screw up everything for you on any given possession. And then he can do it 90 possessions in a row. And he just deserves some praise. The guy's next level. He's amazing.
He would have been my next pick for all the reasons that you just stated. I think the reason I went with Beasley is I just think if the Pistons are going to win this series, they're going to ultimately have to win it on offense. That said, what does Asar Thompson do very well? Crash the glass on the offensive side of the ball. And if the Knicks are not careful there, he could really screw them up.
And can I say something? I think there's a decent chance. That's a great point. I think there's a decent chance that Josh Hart ends up on Asar Thompson to start. Is that fair?
I think it's if we're going to do what's most likely, I think what's most likely is Mikal starts on Cade and OG starts on Tobias. And yes, Josh Hart starts on Asar.
Right. And then you have Brunson on Hardaway.
Yeah.
And you have Cat on Duran.
Yep.
So let's say Josh Hart starts on Asar Thompson. So Josh Hart is a tremendous rebounder. He's a tremendous offensive rebounder. He's a tremendous defensive rebounder. And we all know this. What Josh Hart is not is a tremendous blockout guy. Josh Hart gets his rebounds by flying in from insane angles and getting stuff.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, when you watch the scouting report on the Knicks and you watch the scouting report on anybody and you're a head coach and you're going to break things down to a very, very granular level in a playoff series, just like there are defenders who you target, there are rebounders, defensive rebounders, and boxer outers who you can target. It's really a thing that I've become obsessed with it lately, targeting boxer outers. I don't think that's the real term, but I'm going to say it. And you can target guys to crash. And Josh Hart, there are a lot of times where fundamentally he should probably box somebody out, but he doesn't. And you've started to see now teams are crashing. Whoever Josh Hart is guarding, they're sending that guy to crash. It's happening. And Ausar Thompson is really good at that stuff. He's just an insane energy guy. And Hart's going to get a bunch of rebounds in other ways, but in that particular way. And to be clear, I'm not saying that Hart is messing up, because I think stylistically, if he did that, he'd be a worse rebounder. That's not the way that works for him. The way that works for him is, I'm going to be an energy bunny. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to out hustle everybody, and I'm going to beat everybody to the ball every time that I possibly can. And it works. And I wouldn't change it. I'm just saying that with his style of rebounding, watch out for Ausar Thompson on the offensive boards if Josh Hart is guarding him.
You just, without realizing it, in the last few minutes, we've just kind of laid out the game plan for how Detroit wins this series. New York's offense is slightly worse than it usually is. Detroit's offense maybe is slightly better than it usually is. They are elevated another level above that because of offensive rebounding and putbacks from their centers and from Ausar Thompson. And if you want to throw Ron Holland in there, you could throw him in there because he's an energy guy as well. And then turnovers. New York gets fewer possessions on goal, and then Detroit gets that many more opportunities on goal. That's the formula. That is the way. If you're looking at this and the Knicks lose the series in however many games, that's the formula. The thing that I want to throw out there in response to what you just said about the matchups and whatnot, maybe it's not the craziest thing in the world to see how it goes with Kat on Ausar Thompson, OG on whichever the center is, and then Josh Hart on Tobias Harris. Again, this is not something that Tom Thibodeau has done at all this year in terms of putting Kat on a non-center, other than when Mitchell Robinson is in the game. We haven't gotten to Mitch yet, but just something else to think about.
But you know what? If he plays a Mitch Kat lineup, he's going to be doing that. So
yeah, no, for sure.
It's not that different. I don't think that's crazy at all. Isaiah Stewart was playing the 4 last year, and if we were playing the 4, you wouldn't think twice about OG guarding him. And, if Kat were playing the 4, you wouldn't think twice about him guarding Ausar Thompson. Thompson's biggest weakness is he's not a shooter. He's active as hell, but he doesn't shoot. You don't have to guard him at the 3-point arc.
Yep.
So I'm with you. I mean, if you have Hart on him, then you can kind of let him wreak havoc in passing lanes. And you can kind of use Hart if he's on Thompson, similarly to how they used Hart during that playoff series against Cleveland 2 years ago when he was guarding Isaac Okoro. And you were like, we don't have to stay on that guy. Thompson's more active.
Yeah, I was about to say
Okoro's just gonna park himself. But you'll be able to see some stuff from it there.
And that's another reason, by the way, that I had OG as my second pick, because I think he's going to need to rebound a little bit in this series. He has 6 rebounds in 3 games against Detroit this year. That's not going to cut it. I would love to take Mitchell Robinson here. I'm not going to take a guy that might wind up playing 12 minutes a game. I don't think he's going to play 12 minutes a game. I think he's going to play more than that. So I'm going to take Hart here. Might be controversial. You could tell me that Hart should be taken 2 rounds from now. Here's what I know. If we get the best version of Josh Hart in this series, the Knicks are not going to lose it. Like what we said about Cade Cunningham 4 rounds ago, I believe fully the same thing about Josh Hart. If we get a Josh Hart series and all that comes with that, the Knicks are just not going to lose the series. Now, does that entail shooting it and making some threes? I guess it has to, but there are just so many ways that he could impact the game positively offensively. And the reason why I feel silly taking him this high is because we haven't seen this version of Hart in a while. It hasn't been here. I don't know where it's been. I don't know if he has a switch, or I don't know if it's just the knee is just not great right now. And this is a waste of a pick for me. But here's what I know. I know Josh Hart's going to play a lot of minutes, so I will take him fourth.
That's what I would have done too.
Okay.
I'm going to go Jalen Duren.
Did you think about Stewart instead? Well, no, I don't want to. No, you have other picks.
Yes, I totally did. But I'm going to go Jalen Duren.
Okay.
Because I feel like I know what I'm going to get out of Isaiah Stewart. Like, I feel like he's just going to be bruising and a monster. And I know what I'm going to get out of Isaiah Stewart.
Does that include a 5-game suspension that's going to get it knocked out of the series? Maybe.
I don't want to say that out loud because I don't want to inspire that 5-game suspension or personal retribution. But maybe. You're getting out of Isaiah Stewart. Look, in terms of his actual game, I love Isaiah Stewart's game. The guy plays his ass off. Like, if Isaiah Stewart played in New York, Knicks fans would love.
Oh my God. I hope he'd
be every Knicks fan's favorite player.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like Oakley, like he's like that kind of player, Knicks fans would love him if he played for the Knicks. I'm going Durham because he's more of a wild card and because it's kind of a gateway into talking about, I think, a really important thing, which is the Pistons were 10th in points allowed per possession. If you look at their offense against teams that finish, or the defense against teams if you filter by how teams did against top 10 offenses, the Pistons were 16th in defense. So they were actually one notch below average. And one of the reasons why is because whether they're playing well defensively or poorly defensively, they foul way too much. And the guy who fouls way too much amongst the team that fouls way too much is Jalen Duren. And Duren is going to be put into action after action. He's going to start on Towns, we all assume. And if he starts on Towns, it's going to be Brunson Cat pick and roll over and over and over and over. And Duren is going to have to venture from the basket, and he is going to have to protect against the three from Towns. And if the Knicks get downhill against him, he's going to have to not foul. And if he gets into foul trouble early, if he gets the Knicks into the bonus, he could be giving them 3 points. And he's a very talented player. And I think he's going to become a good player. He's got flaws right now, but I think he's going to become a good player. The talent is there and he plays hard and seems to want all the right things in the right ways, but he fouls way too much. And, we talked about getting handsy. He will get too handsy and he will foul too hard. And if the Knicks can just get all these bigs in foul trouble, then they'll be doing something right. Now, the Knicks don't really get to the free throw line. And one of the things that I am really curious about is like OG Anunoby started getting to the free throw line a decent amount when Brunson was out. Is there anything they can take from that? Like, is there anything they can take from Anunoby's drives, from his rip through moves that were helping him get to the line? Like, Duren bites on that kind of stuff. Yep. Are they going to try to put the ball in the hands of the guys who get more free throws, of an Anunoby, of a Brunson, than they would of a Bridges, who gets 1 free throw a game? I think you have to attack Duren, both because he's an imperfect defender and because even when he's maybe in the right spot, he'll still foul you. And he's going to be really important. He's also really important on the boards because he's a monster rebounder.
That's great. And you kind of like you already talked about, I'm going to take Stewart just because I think there's a chance that he could be the second best Piston in this series if they win it. And actually, if the Pistons do win this series, I kind of think that Stewart will have to be a vitally important player because, like you just voiced some skepticism about Duren, if there's one guy on Detroit that I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hang with the Knicks offense if the Knicks are really like operating as they should be offensively, I think it's Jalen Duren. So I'll take Stewart, even though I agree with you. I kind of think I know what I'm going to get. That said, 4.6 fouls per 36 minutes for Isaiah Stewart this year. Can he control his temper? That's a real question. You have to ask. It's just because the guy he does what he does. But he could also, he could change the series. like Mitchell, in many ways, like Mitchell Robinson did a couple years ago against Cleveland. I don't think that that's like crazy.
No, it's not. I mean, him and Mitchell Robinson, like Mitch is going to get the reserve center minutes. Him and Mitchell Robinson are going to be boxing each other out in the second unit. I can't wait to see that.
Maybe a lead into the next series. Okay, so we have 4 more picks left each. We're going to do a rapid fire. So say the player and say literally one thing about the player that you're taking.
Tim Hardaway Jr. Crunch time, I think, is going to be a lot of pick and rolls that involve Tim Hardaway Jr. because Jalen Brunson is going to be guarding him. And if he frees himself and hits 3 pick and pop threes in the final 5 minutes of a game, it could change something. I also think that because Brunson is going to be guarding him and because the Pistons, we didn't really talk about, the Pistons turning over a lot. They're very prone to turnovers and Cade is very prone to turnovers. The Knicks have got to run off of turnovers, I think. And the Knicks, for a team that doesn't play fast, they generally, like, they don't play at a fast pace. They're good at running off of steals. Like, they actually have a fast pace after getting steals. And they're going to have to execute on that, not just because they want to score quickly in the clock, but because if they do, and they've got Brunson guarding Hardaway, then Hardaway in a lot of situations is going to have to pick up Brunson. And then you've got an automatic mismatch and you can just exploit Brunson versus Hardaway on the other end. So I think Hardaway's competence defensively, I think Hardaway's communication in transition defense and his ability to run pick and rolls with Cade is going to be really important at different times in the series.
Probably a better screener than he gets. I mean, I don't know, maybe he gets credit within league circles, but like Hardaway isn't a bad screener, which is probably one of the reasons he's in the starting 5, I guess, for Detroit as opposed to Beasley. I will go with Mitch. This might be a bit of a hopeful pick for me. I thought it was interesting that Tibbs had him out there for the entire first quarter the other night and played him 30 whatever minutes, which was a season high. I think this could be a Mitch series if you go by the theory that like Tom Thibodeau likes size, which is like I should have told people to sit down before I said that because that probably just blew a lot of people away. But if you subscribe to that theory,
I think, thank God you said away.
Yes, thank God. I think Mitch could have a big impact on the series, and I'll just leave it at that.
I'll say Deuce McBride.
Wow, he was a little bit further down my depth chart, but go ahead.
Well, if they're not guarding Josh Hart and it is mucking up the Knicks offense and the Knicks are not looking like the top 5 offense they are, and they were top 5 for the season, but every Knicks fan knows over the last 2.5 months, the offense took a hit. McBride's going to have to come in there and he makes a huge difference. You know, I referenced B-ball index earlier. They have a stat on B-ball index called gravity, which is what it sounds like. It's how much you pull out defenders, how closely guys guard you in all these different ways. And a lot of the time it's just your percentage on 3-point shooting doesn't always match up with gravity. Sometimes it's reputation. DeMar DeRozan has a lot of gravity because he's a great player and defenders respect him and people want to stick close to him. Number 1 on the Knicks this year in gravity, Jalen Brunson. Shocking. I think he was 3rd in the league. Number 2 on the Knicks.
Pretty cool.
Yes. Number 2 on the Knicks. You'll never believe it. Karl-Anthony Towns.
I'm shocked.
Number 3 on the Knicks, Deuce McBride. And when you look through the Knicks' best lineups and you see of their higher usage lineups, the only person who is in all 7 of those lineups is Deuce McBride. And you wonder, why is that? He's not their best player or their 2nd or 3rd best player. I think that stat has a lot to do with it. It's because when he's coming in, it's normally for somebody whose gravity is not his level of gravity. And Josh Hart is very, very low in the league, especially amongst wings, is very, very low. Like Mitchell Robinson's obviously lower than Josh Hart in gravity, but Josh Hart is very, very low in the league amongst wings in gravity. And if you take him out and you put in somebody who's 3rd on your team, you start to see things differently. And I'm not advocating that Josh Hart's not going to chance in this series. I'd be starting with Josh Hart and seeing what he does. But if the game gets mucked up, as we've seen has happened from time to time during the regular season, Deuce McBride becomes pivotal and could change everything, even if he doesn't hit his threes.
The Josh Hart question about how much does Josh Hart play if Josh Hart does not have an obviously positive impact in the series at the outset should maybe be the number one question of the series, except I don't know that anybody actually thinks it is that level of question, because I think most people doubt whether or not Tibbs would ever go to a place where he's only playing Josh Hart 20 to 25 minutes. So I will just ask you, do you think there is a world where Josh Hart only plays, let's say, in the low 20s in terms of minutes per game at some point in this series?
I don't think. Like, we haven't seen that. And the one thing that I'll say defends, I know Hart gets a lot of flack. I will defend him. Unlike those people sagging into the lane, I will defend him. Josh Hart doesn't have to hit his threes to be effective.
No, he doesn't.
Because when he's not guarded, there are a few things that he does that are massive. First of all, he sets more screens than any other small in the league. For real. He does. That's a real stat. He, like, by far sets the most pick and roll screens of any small in the league. It's not even close. He is, like, by far the most active screener. He rolls off of more screens than any small in the league. By far, not close. He's the most active roller. It is huge for him on that short roll. And that's how you want to play when you're not being guarded like that. And when he's not being guarded, it also opens up lanes for him to crash to the glass, kind of like I was talking about with Thompson before. It opens up lanes for him to crash to the glass. And when we see those games where Hart's not guarded, sometimes he ends up with 5 offensive boards in those games, 6 offensive boards in those games. And it's not a coincidence, because he identifies where his man is. And he's like, there's no one to block me out. I'm going to get every single loose rebound. And he does it because he's the best rebounder of his size in the NBA. And I can't think of anybody who I'd even put on his level. So there are ways that he
smart cutter.
It's not smart cutter, smart player, really good
smart
passer,
player,
really good facilitator. Like, there are ways. It's not like, oh no, Josh Hart shot 1 for 4 from 3 and he was hesitant to take them and he wasn't. And so now you can't play him. There are ways that even if they don't guard him, that he could have a massive positive impact on the series. But if that other stuff is not going and he's not hitting the threes, then you're in trouble.
That's why I couched my Hart pick before the way I did. I actually don't think he needs to, like, just start taking and making, or even taking threes for him to be effective. He needs to be like, there was a time this season where Josh Hart was still doing a lot of the Josh Hart stuff at a really high level, and he had started to lose some confidence in the 3 ball, but we were still getting all the other stuff. It's the other stuff that we haven't gotten as much of, or at least as consistently. I think probably over the last few months. Okay.
He also can get, he's so streaky with his jump shot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like
100%.
Like last year, he was barely taking threes at the end of the year. He had, like, totally lost confidence. So in the last 19 games of last season, Josh Hart shot 21% from 3. And everyone was like, oh no, Philly's not going to guard him. And then Philly didn't guard him, and they shouldn't have. And then he hit 4 threes in each of the first 3 games of the series. And everyone was like, oh my goodness, Josh Hart legitimately just won the New York Knicks a playoff series.
He did.
Against a team that a lot of people thought they weren't going to beat. So, like, sometimes he gets really streaky. I think sometimes he gets in his own head when he's missing. But I think sometimes the opposite happens too. And when he's making, he gets confident. And when he shoots with confidence, we can see it go in. So we'll see. I just don't count that dude out. I just don't. That guy, I just feel like when you count that guy out, you end up wrong more often than not.
I agree with you, which is why I took him 4th in my draft. All right. I'm going to make the pick that is the memorial, like, you're in your fantasy football draft and it's like the 7th round and that running back is there and it's like somebody's got to take him and you're going to be the one that takes him. I don't know this year. Is that I'm looking at? I'm literally just pulled up a fantasy list. Is that like DeAndre Swift? Is that Najee Harris? Is that maybe Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler? I don't know if any of these are good. I'm going to take Tobias Harris because he's Tobias Harris. So there you go.
Long Island native.
Long Island zone.
Tobias Harris.
Half Hollow Hills East, I believe, high school.
Yes. Half Hollow Hills East and LI Lutheran. And I'll go Dennis Schroeder, who was a really underrated pickup for the Pistons. After they lost Ivy, they just were not generating offense with Cade off the court, and they brought in Schroeder, and he has been great for them. He stabilized the offense with Cade off the court, and they play those two guys together, and those lineups are good. They are plus 10.5 per 100 possessions when they have Cade and Schroeder on the court together, and they'll close with those guys sometimes and gives them an extra playmaker. I'm looking to see how often they use those lineups in this series. Schroeder's been very good for them. He's one of the best backup point guards in the league.
I don't know that I want to sit here and say Schroeder is going to win, like turn a game in this series, but he will. There's going to be a moment where Schroeder is going to have a massive impact in a game.
Yeah, he's just a good basketball player. He's just a solid player.
And he doesn't care. Like there's zero. I mean, the guy he's been on the world stage how many times? Like he's no consciousness. I'm going to get the guy that I thought about taking. I mean, I could have gotten cute and taken this guy 2 picks ago. I'm going to take Landry Shamet, and all I'm going to say about Landry Shamet is I'm going to have a hot take. You ready for the hot take?
Oh yeah.
I think there will be 2 games in this series where Landry Shamet plays more minutes in a game than Deuce McBride.
Wow. That is a take.
Yeah, that's my take. And fans are going to absolutely lose their fucking minds.
The Landry Shamet renaissance is extraordinary. It is the most March to April thing I've ever seen. And it happened immediately after Mikal Bridges was like, Tibbs, you should play Landry Shamet more. And then Landry Shamet was like, it was as if Landry Shamet forgot he was on the Knicks.
Yeah.
And then he saw that quote and got asked about it and was like, oh my goodness, I do play for the Knicks. I should do that.
DJ had a stat earlier today. He's like 50-something% on catch and shoot threes over like 13 games, something crazy like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's beasting. I guess I'll go Cameron Payne.
Okay.
I don't think the Knicks are going to go 9 deep. I don't. I think they're probably going to go 8 deep to start, and I could see them going 7 deep in the second half and when they're really desperate. But I'll go Cameron Payne.
Well, my real hot take is that Shamet is going to play over Deuce in the second half. And Deuce is, yeah.
Earn it.
Listen, I got it.
Last pick, John.
I'm going to go with a guy that I know is going to play, or I think is going to play, Ron Holland. So,
Ron Holland made it onto my second team all rookie.
There you go.
I have to say,
what was depressing?
It was one of the more depressing exercises I've ever done in my life.
Oh man,
choosing between Ron Holland and Kyle Filipowski for second team all rookie just did me in. That's why I was late for the pod, by the way.
I bet you were. By the way,
that's why I was late.
No, I know. By the way, in picking Ron Holland over Simone Fontecchio, I have guaranteed that Simone Fontecchio is going to have a game where he hits 5 of 7 from deep, and absolutely puts it on the Knicks. Speaking of depressing exercises, the Atlanta Hawks and the Orlando Magic have begun playing a basketball game, which allegedly matters. So we should go watch that. And my daughter is here about to annoy me about something. So any last words from you?
No. I got some stuff coming out in The Athletic this week. I had a Dyson Daniels story that I mentioned earlier up on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I have a big Nikola Jokic story I've been working on for a long time. Inside, basically the many lessons of Nikola Jokic. All of these lessons that teammates have learned about basketball while playing with Jokic. And Jokic was nice enough to sit down with me for the story, and we talked about his leadership style and kind of where his basketball IQ comes from. Spoke to a bunch of guys on things they've learned, what they learned. Bruce Brown told me just an insane story. Apparently he has sonar like a bat. Like you hear these stories about Jokic and you're like, is this a human being? Like, I don't get it. So I was working on that for a while, and I'm excited for that one to come out. I'll have my notebook later in the week, and check out Katz and Shoot if you care about the awards conversation, because I'm going to have Eric Name on the podcast later in the week, and we're going to do a 2-part episode where we both unveil our ballots for all the awards. So check that out as well.
Fred, you're the best. Best is doing it. I can't believe that you still think that you are not above this podcast. I am waiting for you to wake up one day and realize, why am I doing this? For what purpose? What could this possibly serve?
I wake up every day and I ask myself, why am I doing this?
I need to make better choices.
Why am I doing this? I wake up every day. I'm hungover from the moonshine that I had at 3 a.m. And I say, why am I doing this? Every day. And then I keep doing it. I just keep doing it.
By all means, please still keep doing it. A lot of my revenue streams depend on it. So by all means, please, Fred Katz, keep doing it.
Can I just...
I personally enjoy it when
Andrew and I aren't actually friends
for today. Okay.
Andrew and I aren't actually friends. Andrew actually hates me, but it's just about a business relationship. He just needs the money.
Yeah, clearly. As John apparently needs to run off to watch a playing game.
Well, yes, and also I have to apparently go to the store and get baking soda. Tell mommy I'll go and do that.
If you show them that,
I will. Two things.
Fred, we need to leave the screen. Hold on. We need to just put. Okay. Hi, Scarlett Ray.
Okay, sure. You want to do that? All right. So we'll do this first. My daughter Scarlett wants to show everybody this picture that she drew of Wolverine.
That's actually amazing, by the way. Like,
yes, that's honestly so good.
Well, we did one of the things where it's like the YouTube video where they show you how to draw something. And so I did one, and Scarlett did one. I heard
what he said during your microphone.
What's that?
Wait, John, we need to see yours.
You want to see mine?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it, but go ahead, John. I won't say anything. Look at this. John did this.
Oh, John, that's good.
Right?
That's very
good. That's good. He just put
you guys are both really talented.
Freddie put in the group chat the other day, and it was like no comment or text or anything. I was like, did you draw this? Because this is amazing.
She's got a lot more talent than I'll.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
She does have talent. That's really good.
It's very kind of you. Speaking of talents and Patreons, I wanted to say very quickly, how's this for a transition? You're talking about Nikola Jokic. I have to do a solo pod this week for the Knicks Film School Patreon. And as is tradition, I'm going to rank my 10 most interesting players going into this postseason. And I was thinking today about where I'm going to put Jokic, because I'm trying to think the last time that a player had a postseason in front of him in which he could, like, definitively, no questions asked, solidify himself as one of the 10 greatest players of all time. Maybe the fault in that is that he's already solidified himself as one of the 10 greatest players of all time in the estimation of some. But, like, there's a world where there's, like, nobody could possibly have any questions about that after this postseason. So something that I will think about as I'm reading your wonderful story that will come out later this week.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm excited for it to come out. And in all seriousness, you guys have a great product and you're awesome. And I love coming on the pod. It's just hanging out with friends. John, John, Andrew uses me for money. John uses me for content. John and I talked on the phone for an hour and a half the other night, then was like, it was a waste of time. We didn't even record it. And I'm like, talking to me is a waste of time? I thought we were just having a good time together.
Yeah, that's why, John, you got to go for the hustle. Like, make sure he pays you to talk to him on the phone for an hour and a half. That it's even better.
Yes, I told him this is why he's a whore. This is why he's a whore.
If you add up all the time that I have talked to every friend in my life for the last 2 years, it does not add up to the amount of time that I talked to you on the phone the other night. So, sir, do not say that I do not have respect for our time.
You know what the really upsetting part of that comment is?
What?
If you take it literally, then it means that I am not a friend.
Right. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's
I said every other friend.
Right. But no. You just said every friend. You didn't say
every friend.
You just said every friend.
Yeah. Which means that my total is not included in the friend.
Exactly.
Friend total.
Yeah. I'm a business associate.
Which means I'm not even a friend. And it's kind of proving my point. You know what?
I don't think
money.
I don't think that I'm worthy of your friendship, Fred. That's really what it comes down to. That's the reality.
Yeah, you know what?
I am worthy because I put a number on it. So there you go. So
who's the whore now?
Confess.
Who's the whore now? That's a famous Sean Connery line, right?
I think that. Who's the wild
whore
man
now, dog?
No, you're.
No, that's who's the dog. No, that's who's the. Hold on, wait. You're the man now, dog.
You're the man now, dog.
Yeah. Okay. What Fred was conflating was the guy from SNL doing Sean Connery in Celebrity Jeopardy, where he goes, "Your mother's a whore," when talking to Trebek. Your rules are day across me, Trebek. Roses are red, violets are blue. I don't know the rest, but your mother's a whore.
Yes. That's Daryl Hammond. One of the best SNL sketches / impressions ever.
Yes, agreed. Okay, John needs to go watch a playing game. Couple of notes real quick. Speaking of the Patreon that John was talking about, we have a Patreon promotion going off at the moment, or going on at the moment, but it goes off at tip-off on Saturday when the Knicks play the Detroit Pistons. 51 wins this season, which means a 51% off promotion your first month of any tiers per subscription. So do the math. Apparently she wants to do the math as well. If you want to sign up for the Monroe tier for $15, it's now $7.50 for your first month. If you want to sign up for Benji and DJ's extra content, $11 gets you now down to $5.50, and so on and so forth. So sign up for Patreon if you'd like to. For the next month, you get 51% off. Please do. And then, of course, this Saturday at T Squared Social, while John and the rest of the crew will be on playback watching the game, so the rest of us will be at T Squared Social for our Game 1 watch party. Be there or be T Squared. Okay, that's all.
No, you got to hold it the other way. My wife found this on the street.
It's a kid finger?
Kid foam finger.
I just remembered it's a audio medium too. So John's adorable daughter is now on the mic. Maybe she'll be our friend, Fred. And then she found a Kith foam finger. So it's a Knicks foam finger. And speaking to the audio medium, for those who were listening earlier, John and his daughter drew a really good picture of Wolverine.
There you
go.
Yeah, I agree. It's fire Tibbs.
All right, we could go. Fred, I don't even know what I've left to say to you. Thanks for being my friend, Fred. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks for being my friend. You too, Andrew. Thanks for being a great friend.
A friend. We're actually the outro music.
I have to go ask myself some very serious questions about life. Thanks everybody for listening to another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. We'll be back with all the fun stuff that Andrew just talked about and more. And I'll talk to you later. Peace out. Bye.